So, folks, we are back, and today we'll talk about the benefits of mock interviews. I think mock interviews are a key ingredient of your job search game, and I'll talk about that in a moment. First, let's try to revisit our equation for mock interview performance, actual interview performance. If Y is the actual interview performance, there are three factors which influence it. First is temperament, second is interview specific knowledge, and third is luck. Now, we have discussed about these factors beforehand. Temperament is simply your potential to perform, your performance by potential. In simple words, what percentage of questions which you could have solved at home are you able to solve in the interviews? Okay, so that's temperament. And interview specific knowledge is fairly simple. It means knowledge which is likely to be asked in the interviews that may or may not be related to your job. So that's good, I guess, in terms of revisiting this. Now, mock interviews, people don't really get what mock interviews are. Generally, mock interviews are a pre-decided set of questions people ask each other to simulate the interview game. So you could tell somebody to ask you a question which you already know, and that's totally okay. A lot of people think, hey, you know what, I cannot take a mock interview or I cannot give a mock interview. Boss, just decide a question beforehand. The idea is to simulate the situation. And you'll be surprised how many people will fumble even if they know which interview question is being asked. So, coming back to temperament, by default, temperament of most folks is low, meaning they fumble on questions they solved the previous day. And why is that the case? Multiple reasons, but the biggest one being most of us get nervous during interviews, and obviously if anybody scrutinizes you, you are less likely to perform your best. Less likely, though you can overcome that. So we'll come to that point. First, what are the benefits of mock interviews? First advantage of mock interviews are that mock interviews simulate the interview game, hence you get used to solving problems in an environment where you are being scrutinized or judged. I think that's a better wording. So that's the first advantage of mock interviews. This help you simulate that advantage. This is mostly a known fact for people who have attempted entrance exams in India. Most similar pattern is in JEE or other entrance exams where folks who give a lot of mock exams often perform better than those who don't. This is a known fact for many people. So that's one reason to do mock interviews. Another is mock interviews are momentum builders. That is, you start getting a taste of what kind of experience you will have in the interview. So often they give you a low cost reality check. So if you fail a mock interview, there is no loss, but you build momentum. If you fail a mock interview, you lose nothing, but you get the urge to study and acquire the relevant interview specific knowledge. So that's the second argument. The third argument is mock interviews also help you reinforce the importance of interviews specific knowledge, taking you away from theoretical knowledge which might not be relevant for the interviews. To expand on this, there are only a certain kind of questions that a person can be expected to solve in 15 to 45 minutes. Thus, it takes you away from I'm still preparing for the interview to okay, this is what will be asked. Okay, so it grounds you on that zone that hey, this is what will be asked in the interview. Without giving a mock interview, most of us don't realize that you don't need to study everything. You need to study only certain things. You need to solve only a certain set of problems. What else? I think the biggest advantage of mock interviews is still about fear. Remove your fear, not just about one interview, but about the overall process of interview games. You suddenly see that it is just a matter of iteration and practice. Okay, I'll go back again to the first point, which is mock interviews simulate the interview game, and because of that, you get used to solving problems in an environment where you are being judged. Essentially, this means your temperament is improving. The more mock interviews you practice. Yeah, I think we have covered all the points. Let me first commit it to Git. I have an alias for that. Yep. It's done. Let me check. Yep, that's done. Cool. Now let me go and talk a little more about mock interviews. The biggest problem with mock interviews is everybody fears them and everybody hates them, and they are very difficult to get started on. So, how to gracefully start giving mock interviews often. And when I say often, the idea is do it like 2 to 5 times a week, each of 30 minutes each. That is something optimal, I think, because that turns out to around you practicing 5 questions a week. And that means in a week there are 12, in a quarter there are 12 weeks, so you'll have roughly 60 questions that you would have practiced well. Where do you start? Start with tell me about yourself question. Even for dev roles, this is a very good place to start. And that's because most of us have never really prepared this question. When in doubt of how to structure the about yourself question, use the mentor pyramid principle, which is start with a top level summary and then go into details. Okay, you can start practicing this question with your friends once they ask you and once you ask them, and record the question, your answers on an audio file or video, so you can realize what kind of improvement you need to make in your articulation. See, before you solve problems, the articulation part is important, especially for senior roles. An interesting thing about senior roles is they are so much more about articulation than often actual problem solving, because leaders or senior folks are expected to articulate the problems really well. Again, I would ask everyone to read mentor pyramid principle as often as possible and try to implement it. It's tough to implement, but it's totally worth it. That I can vouch for. Okay, next, stage 2 of mock interviews is to just practice the easiest questions that you and your friends already know the answer to. And even here, you will catch yourself fumbling on the question because, hey, you are not used to articulating your thoughts in an environment where you are being judged. So this is stage 2. Stage 3, do tough questions with friends or unknown folks on Discords. There's something called Pramp website. Then there is Slacks for mock interviews. In fact, I'll tell you an interesting thing, okay? Mock interviews are a great way to network with your peers, which is why I'm asking you to give so many of them. I'll give you an example. In chess, they say your opponent knows you more deeply than your partners or friends because they have played against you. Similarly, mock interviews are a way to organically prove to a peer that you are reasonably smart, and thus you can be a good ally in the interview game journey. So what will happen is eventually you will create these set of friends who will share your asymmetric knowledge of the job search game and refer you to places where they have applied or could not make it, or where they work, or whatever is there in their network. Basically, you will start sum is greater than the parts game with them. Collaboration with them, and perhaps both of you will get good outcomes, way more than what you would have achieved on your own. Okay, by the way, we are using cursor here. So do you see the point? Mock interviews are a great way to network with your peers. Okay, awesome. What else is there? Okay, one more point is left here. Short term, how to reduce nervousness for mock interviews or actual interviews. I think the simplest one is chant 27 times any mantra. It will get you into a state of, into a mind, it will get you into a state of flow. You will be calmer and more prepared to solve a problem. So that is one way. Similarly, you can either meditate or do yoga right before the interview or the mock interview. Okay. Similarly, you can do breathing exercises. So the one which I would refer is box breathing, or very many similar similar methods exist. So box breathing is a good exercise. That is like 4, 4, 4. Then there is another one which is 3, 4. Another one is 3, 4, 5. So you can research about all this. Basically, you start with inhale, hold, then exhale, and then hold. If the fourth one doesn't exist, then it is like the hold is missing here. Okay. By the way, this is already there in all our texts. We have Kumbhak and Rechak and all of that. But yeah, box breathing is a pretty good exercise, I think. It generally calms you down. You can Google about it and you'll get YouTube videos, you'll see apps, and they generally do calm you down. Another good idea here is for actual interviews, just 20 minutes or maybe 30 minutes, right? 30 minutes before the interview, apart from above things, solve one medium level problem question which you have already solved before with your hand. This will ensure that you don't have a cold start and are in the flow zone. Also, it temporarily boosts your confidence. It's almost like it was listening to me. Anyways, yeah, I think I have done a good job here. Can pat my back. Please pay attention to this. Okay. I think we have covered good ground here. Okay. People act. Okay, that's the point. Reading this note is of no use. You need to experiment with the ideas of mock interviews, and you can likely do at least one mock interview today itself. You just need a friend, and maybe you can ask them to judge you on about yourself. Tell me about yourself question, or any basic DSA or system design question which you think is easy for you. But however trivial this exercise might seem, please do not judge it before you have done it. Go do one mock interview today itself. That will be the real use of this video / note. Otherwise, like the 100 other things you consume on social media today or this month or this year, it will merely be entertainment. Something that feels good but means nothing. So act. Do one mock interview today itself. And let me know how it goes. Always curious to learn from people who experiment on this dimension. Okay, I got really excited on this one because I keep telling people to do this. In the coming months, I'm going to give a lot of mock interviews as well, probably a lot of DSA stuff. So feel free to DM me if you want to practice DSA stuff. DSA and some system design. And see you when I see you.